Hi, everybody. This is 1890 moved from his barracks room on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, the front door to the United States, where all the criminal trafficking, it was the epicenter for the criminal trafficking, of course, and of the um, all of this child trafficking, hundreds of thousands of children. And Richard was stationed there at Fort Bliss, and was a whistleblower, is a whistleblower. They took his life after they forcibly removed him from his barracks and brought him to a soundproof room. And it didn't go quietly. He fought. He was a black belt. He fought, and our information that we're getting in is that he busted somebody's mouth in that needed dental work. But they took his life and they stole his body and they trafficked his body. And they then conducted a multi-agency where I think we're up to 23, 24 now. Um, Agency, if I count the AG, if I count the AG of Chihuahua, can I count the international agencies? I think I can. Um, Conducted a huge cover up, obstruction of justice, interference with the investigation, and just a lot of deception, so much deception. And I think that there needs to be um, some indictments for all of the deception, right? All these name changes, all of the lies, all of the tampering with documents and everything like that. The deception is huge. And we saw that today, and I should play it. I should really play it for everybody today, the Pam Bondi. Let's make sure that I'm on. Let's make sure everything's okay. And we will, yeah. Let's see if I'm on. And I'm coming on so late because so much is happening, right? Thank you, Laura, for coming on this late. Um, well, Pam Bondi absolutely called out a lot of deception today, didn't she? And I did post a little bit about that. Be sure to watch it because I think it really gives everybody an inside look, and I'll post some more too. An inside look into the deception that we've had to deal with just stolen valor. People have, put out the stories that they're um, heroes, war heroes, and everything like that, in order to get elected. And then it comes out that they're not that. And also to badmouth those that are the real heroes. Richard is a real hero, a real war hero, right? In this deep state war of criminal trafficking. And that's one of the complaints that we filed was against Patrick Brookshire, Trooper Patrick Brookshire, for stolen valor, because of his defamation of a true hero. And Richard, our son, has been not I mean, we have too called him a hero. Absolutely. I mean, because that's what he is, right? I mean, the truth has to be put out there. But by the institutions, even those that didn't really want to, but the evidence shows that he absolutely is a hero. And then, of course, on August 6th and 7th, we received two letters from President Trump, who absolutely tells it like it is, and calling Richard a total hero. that his name is indelible, never will be forgotten for his unwavering courage, his loyalty, um, the best of America, the best of America. He just absolutely poured praise and honors on our son in the letter, and Patrick Brookshire, his attack on our son, the stolen valor violation that he did was after August 6th and 7th, knowing that Richard had been honored so greatly. Richard was a distinguished honor graduate for his cycle in basic training and also in his cycle in advanced individual training. He's just, they went after him because he was a man of integrity and honor, and he didn't fall for even Boleyn Rocha, right? He didn't, even though they send in the prostitutes to compromise our soldiers, he didn't fall for it. He told her not to do it, that this evil group say they respect you, but they really don't. They really don't. The guys, they're just horny. They just want to see you naked. That's a quote from him. Uh, and she didn't understand. She thought that he was weird because he was such an honorable man. She thought that he was weird. She had never faced such an honorable man before. Um, and that's too bad that she didn't break the evil grip of this toxic culture that has surrounded her whole life with the cartel. It's a shame she's very young, right? And she just didn't get it. She just didn't get it. And it's just too bad. It's just too bad because when you become honorable, um, so many blessings, and even when your life is taken, so many blessings, right? So many blessings, and people don't understand that legacy is very, very important when your name is indelible and you will never be forgotten for your heroic courage and loyalty. Um, People don't understand the value of that anymore. They want to live for now. And if that means to be corrupt, if that means to be a criminal, if that means to be a prostitute, if that means to sacrifice your own family and your own children, your own future, then they'll do it. And it really is a terrible, terrible culture to live in. Uh, you have to think for the future, and you have to think for a legacy, um, because we're all going to meet our maker, right? We're all going to meet our maker, so you have to think about that. Um, and people do understand uh, the name values. And what I want to get at is this threat that supposedly came from the Sinaloa cartel, threatening um, FBI Director Kash Patel and other U.S. officials and others, right? And that narco banner, looking at it closely, and also having read the El Mayo banners and putting both of them through an analysis. This one, because El Mayo is also Sinaloa cartel, and his faction has been putting out the banners exposing Maru Campos and many other officials in their criminal activity and bribery and everything like that. Um, so this new narco banner is very interesting. It's pretty sloppy. It's very sloppy in so many ways. And the one thing about the cartel is that you can't call them sloppy. You can call them very evil. You can call them very, very evil. But when it comes to their threats, I don't think they're sloppy. Um, Maybe the crime itself is sloppy, but the threats are very well thought out and um, and pointed and pointed. And so this wasn't that. This wasn't that. So what we're thinking, because every threat is very, very serious, right? Especially when it's turned into a narco banner. It's very serious. And we know that Kash Patel is working together with the Fiscalia, the state police there. They raided Cesar Paneche's mansion. Um, they raided Cesar Paneche's mansion. I mean, that just should take your breath away because we know that they live by a different law than the rest of us, right? And so for this Attorney General of Chihuahua, with the connections of the Mormon faction power brokers in El Paso, being at Woody Hunt and Paul Foster and um, Alejandra de la Vega Foster, uh, and many, many more, right? Because that's connected to the Romneys, the Whittons, these Labarons, these are big, powerful families with millions of dollars, millions and millions, if not reaching to a billion. Um, and so, for his mansion to be raided and for the FBI to be investigating this fuel fuel theft, for the FBI to be um, part of this investigation into Cesar Paneche and this huge, huge crime in Chihuahua, one of the biggest crimes in Chihuahua's history, is billions of barrels of um, petrol and diesel uh, being stolen from the national pipeline and then to be laundered and manipulated, all the paperwork so that they can start selling it in their gas stations, and their gas stations, Peniche's partner with the Carvel gas stations to sell it, cheaper because they didn't have to pay anything. They don't have much overhead, and they have to store it. They have to store it somewhere. Um, who has the land, right? Who has the storehouses? But to sell it and then to make contracts exclusively with Mario Campos' government there in Chihuahua and other states, all other states in Mexico, to sell this oil that was initially belonged to the people, um, is a huge, huge crime. And so, of course, Paneche is the very same attorney general that tampered with our son's case, that tampered with the investigation, that obstructed justice, because, of course, Rob and our son Robert, Richard's brother, went there to give blood for DNA to look for, because of our um, uh, investigation leading to Richard's body being stolen and trafficked to Juarez, to Chihuahua. They put blood there. They wanted to make sure the DNA was there for identification. That was all. The witness that was saying, "Oh yeah, I saw Richard," that was all fake. They didn't notify us. They tampered with that. The whole investigation was tampered with and was interfered with, and there was well, uh, we've been told that there were pesos that went from hand to hand on that. So yeah, this is very, very um, really good news. Um, because we've been saying all of this stuff for so long, and we're being vindicated over and over again, because now we have an FBI that is not totally yet. There's a lot of Trojan horses in our government. We have a lot of bad actors like Colin Whitten. The Whitten family with the Romneys and the Labarons, uh, they're big. They're big, y'all. They're very big. And here Colin Whitten is he's assistant special agent in charge in the FBI. Of course, John Morales was now, he's no longer there. He's no longer there. He was the special agent in charge. He's been replaced by, what is it, Jordan Brown? Is it Jordan Brown? Yeah, so this is really a big shakeup. I think maybe the power broker in there is Colin Whitten, knowing his background now, knowing his family background now, knowing the money they have, knowing the power they have. They can put a special agent in charge, but of course, this is the second special agent in charge that has left. The first one left also after we started filing. After we started filing, he left even after just building a house, just like the judge in the JAG office. He left when we started asking questions. He left. It's just been very. The evidence just keeps piling up of the obstruction and the interference in the investigation. And now I think what this narco banner is, maybe because there's been so much impersonation. I mean, that's part of their life is impersonation. They're so deceptive, it's like second nature for them. It's like their first nature to lie and be deceptive and impersonate. They always have multiple aliases, and they're just crime is like they're just that's who they are. That's who they are. They're just total criminals. It's not like an oops. It's not like an oops. It's their way of life. It's what they breathe. They breathe crime. They exhale crime. Crime is in their right hand. Crime is in their left hand. Crime is on their head. Crime is in their right foot. Crime is in their left foot. Crime is in their hip, left hip, right hip. Crime is that's who they are, and that means deception. That means betrayal. That means lies. That means violence. That's just who they are. It's in every strand of hair on their head. And it's and and I wouldn't say that unless I had mountains of evidence that um, absolutely declare that. Okay. The betrayal is just wow. So their legacy is a complete opposite of Richard's legacy, and they're going to have to meet their maker with that. Um, you know, yeah, and I have no pity. I have no pity not in and um, I pray for their doom. I pray for their doom because my heart is with Richard. My heart is with the victims, the children, the hundreds of thousands of children. That's where my wishes and my prayers for mercy and goodness and all of that power, justice, everything is with all the victims. You know, so um, I think that that's the right way to go. I know it's the right way to go, and yeah, our culture sometimes wants us to side with the criminals, but no, no, not me, not me, not our family. We're not going to side with the criminals. Um, and it gets emotional. It really does, because we know the depth of their crime, and it's bad. It's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. They have a lot of blood on their hands. So we think that this narco banner is uh, is a criminal impersonation, using the Sinaloa's name to scare the hell out of, I guess, the U.S. officials and FBI Director Patel. Um, yeah, I think they're getting very desperate. And with that, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this. Yeah, so what that means is that we're over the mark. We are over the mark. If they are going to, um, threaten, impersonate, even if it is Sinaloa, which we think it's an impersonation of Sinaloa because of it's just doesn't have their signature on it. It doesn't have their signature. It has somebody else's signature. And you know, uh, so even but all threats are very serious. Impersonation is very serious. If I guess Sinaloa might come out and say, "Yeah, it was us," I don't know, then I'll say, "Okay, we were wrong." But right now, we really have our suspicions that this is an impersonation of the Sinaloa, just to put, I guess, steal the power of Sinaloa, as a fear agent, as a fear method. You know, and to avoid accountability. Why would they do it? Because we're over the mark, because FBI Patel is over the mark, and the accountability is very, very near. They see it coming. They see the handwriting on the wall, because now the judge um, has been overruled when it comes to President Trump's sending National Guard into Illinois, into Chicago, into that great ancient city, one of the most ancient cities in the United States, ancient city and beautiful city of Chicago, that is just almost been ruined, right? With so much crime. and talk about fear, talk about living in fear, living in crime. And so now President Trump is sending in the National Guard that will, was deployed in Washington, D.C., and brought clean streets and safe streets, and people can walk at night now and not be mugged. And so people are very, very happy, and the businesses are very happy, and families are very happy. And you want children to be able to walk and play in neighborhoods and everything like that without fear of these predators, of these total predators. So, and I just loved it. I have to say this because I love gardening and everything, but I loved it when President Trump was talking about grass, because of course, with his golf courses and everything, he says that he knows a lot about grass. He knows just about everything about grass, and the grass has a life cycle, and that's just about over in Washington, D.C., and he wants to returf so much of Washington, D.C., rightfully so, because if you've visited Washington, D.C., like we have, lots of times, especially when our children were younger, you want to be able to enjoy that mall, that beautiful mall, and go and see the tattoos, the military tattoos, the fife and drum play, and let it be the nation's capital, where people can go and enjoy the nation's capital. Um, so, but that requires good grass, right? We want a picnic, we want to be on good grass, and uh, to have that kind of maintenance in our nation's capital will also domino effect all through the country, and make every city consider, hey, uh, do we need to beautify? Do we need to tidy up our town? Do we need to tidy it up for the people? Do we need to use all this taxpayers' money to line our pockets, or do we need to tidy up our town? Um, you know, uh, um, Spruce up our cities and make them places of peace and joy, and business, pro business. So I think that this is a super great message, and I loved it. Um, I just really, really love that. So we're 100% behind President Trump on beautifying up our nation's capital. Um, and of course, not fraud, waste, and abuse, y'all. Not fraud, waste, and abuse, but done properly. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I have always my doubts, but I have to stay hopeful. I have to stay absolutely hopeful in everything going forward, for Richard's the accountability, and for receiving his body. And I had a really strange night last night. I dreamed about Richard all last night. I was talking to him. I even, petted his face, and we even played cards together. I don't know what that means, because he loved to play games. Richard loved to play any kind of board game or card game, Uno or whatever. He rather have played games with a group of people than watch TV or anything like that. He just loved it, when it was in the evening time, and that. So he was the fastest runner in his unit. He loved to go out, and in Ireland, he just would take off and go run through the fields and everything like that. Really literal. I mean, ask anybody. He loved it out there. Um, yeah. Anyway, so the other breaking news is another vindication that we were right again, and that President Trump was right again, because he has been talking about China, China. I can't impersonate him. China, China, right? Um, he would talk about that. And we've received lots of tips, a lot of bad tips. But and I will get to all your comments. I will absolutely get to your comments. um and so we just kept doing our investigation. And in 2021, we even put a map together. We put a TikTok together, um, about uh, Colonial Juarez, Colonial Dublin, Nova Casa Grandes, the Chinese. Um, they have like a center, a dedicated area that's part of their train. They have a train that goes through there that is dedicated to China, like a Chinatown, and all of that. And of course, always grew up going to San Francisco to Chinatown. We have Chinatowns in Europe, little Chinatowns, it's fine. But this was a little odd because it was in this Romney Mormon faction um, stronghold in Chihuahua. And I knew that they were up to no good, right? And then they have this you would think since Romney's there, and Romney's a senator, and you have others like Witten, like LeBron's, that they're American, that there would be an American dedication in that area, not a Chinese one. It just seemed because you're in Mexico, right? You're in Mexico, fly the Mexican flag, right? But this is a dual citizen area, okay? Most of all of these people and the people coming, a lot of the people coming in are Americans because they go to the school there. There is an academy, the Juarez Academy, which is this beautiful Mormon academy you can send your children to. And of course the temple is there, and all of the fruit fields and the horses, and it's just a beautiful area. It's very plush, and I was talking about that. And you would think that they would have some kind of dedication with the American flag or whatever, but they didn't. They had it to China, right? To China. And so as time, and of course we pointed out all of the orphanages and the children shelters along the way, which raised a lot of red flags with us, rightfully so. We also pointed out that they have an airport there, and of course that airport is very frequented by VIPs, because these are high-powered people. Okay, these are millionaires. These are millionaires, and I don't think they got their millions selling fruit. Okay, I'm just going to be honest, because I do garden and it's hard work. It's hard work, and you just don't make millions like that selling fruit. Okay, but maybe they did. I don't know. I don't know. It's just my opinion. Everybody's got an opinion, right? So so they do have a train track. They do have, well, a rail system. They have their um well, the Mexican taxpayers pay for the Nova Casa Grandes uh, airport, and that is very connected. Lots of flights into Santa Teresa jet port of entry. Um, it's just documented. So, this is a bit, and of course, the Labrons, they were executed while we were there in 2020. And um, it was just a very volatile time, very volatile. Wow. So we pointed out, and we even put it out there, that this was very suspicious area because there was a common denominator in our son's case, and that was that so many were from this Mormon faction, and and this Mormon faction was connected to the Chinese. Leilani Hart speaks Chinese, and so does Kayla Cardona, the right hand lady, uh, like secretary. I don't know what her title exactly. It's in my notes, but off the top of my head, Kyla Cardona was the like secretary. Worked in the office of Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, and of course the Chan brothers. They run social media in Chinese also. Um, eh, I don't know Chinese, but we have all these great tools now that allow us to translate and everything. So we, put together this was this common denominator. So the new news coming out today was that Laura Loomer said that Representative Luna, I think that's her, what is her name, um, has now the receipts to connect Charlie Kirk's murder um, to the CCP, to the Chinese. And when I say Chinese, I mean the CCP. I mean the government part of it, not the people. Okay, not the people. And that was such a vindication because we've been telling you all along that Charlie Kirk's case is connected to our son's case. The Twiggs family proves that the Twiggs son is missing, right? But that family are peers with the Hunt family. Okay, they're peers. And so, this is, do I claim to know exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk? No, I don't. There's so many theories right now out there, and I'm going to leave it to the experts. But what I can tell you is that he was put in a hole. He was put in a hole. He was put in a very, very risky situation, and he's no longer alive. He's no longer alive, and he was at the UVU. And there is absolutely stinkiness around this whole investigation. Um, from the security, the way the security handled it, to the securing of the crime scene, the handling of the whole thing so far has been terrible, right? Has been very terrible. And the only thing that can explain that kind of cover up, because absolutely, there's a cover up going on and there was orchestration going on. The only thing that can explain it is that it's bigger than what we think, and that bigness now is being told to us that it is a connection. It's a connection with the CCP. Now, they never want to mention the Mormon faction, do they? Nobody wants to mention the Mormon faction. But it's at UVU. It's at UVU, and UVU at Utah Valley University. They can absolutely have handled this much, much better, y'all, than what has happened right now for their own, uh, for their own, to give peace to to all the students that go there, right? So, yeah, something is very, very fishy going on there, and there is a big connection, and we can tell you that there is a big connection, and that's all, the trajectory of the bullet, the weapon that was used, if a bullet was used at all, because now there's theories about other things being used, pellets and stuff. Um, all of the physics of it, the no blood situation, the tampering with the crime scene, the tampering with the body, um, you know, all of that, we're going to leave to the experts. Absolutely. But there's something very stinky going on. And all I can tell you is that the attempts on President Trump and uh, the whole Charlie Kirk's case is connected to Richard's case. Same people, same. They want to control the politics. They want to control the policies. They want open borders, right? And so this is very, very big, and it seems to be a foreign country now. This is funded by a foreign country and foreigners, and we already know that Soros's his name's been floating around, and now the CCP's name is floating around, and I just think that vindicates what we've been saying since early 2021. I found that one TikTok video and I put it out before then. Since early on, um, and this is without talking about Nadal Baim, because Nadal Baim brings in a whole um, another element into this case. Um, but absolutely, um, the the connection between the Mormon faction and the CCP is absolutely there. Is absolutely there. There's no doubt. And the want for the open border, and of course, it's where Soros's name gets floated around because he does the open border um, society, right, or whatever. He wants all open borders. So this is, and we want our borders to be secure. All right, we want people to come in and out, but this mass immigration to just kind of be like, uh, I count it um, like what do you call those crickets? The crickets, the grasshoppers that come through and just munch all the resources up and devastate the country. It was just millions and millions of people that needed uh, aid and support that would devastate our country. And so it was all deliberate, and we know it was all deliberate. And so, the answers to that is law and order. Is law and order. So we'll see. We have now the National Guard being deployed to Chicago to mass deportations. Really, I think that's what they have in mind is mass deportations, because they came. The problem is that because it was deliberate, they were deliberately sending criminals into our country, and these criminals cause a lot of havoc within our cities, and so you cannot be criminal just by coming in illegally and then commit crimes and be even more criminal and then expect all the handouts and all the aid and support. That doesn't work for a bright future. No, not at all. So, and especially from our family, because our family are a family of immigrants. Absolutely immigrants. And but our family was like, what can we do for this country? Right? What can we do for this country? That's how our families, my husband um, and my family have always felt, it's not like, let me just take resources. It was, how can we provide resources to the country? So, how can we make it better? How can we make it better? So, that means employment. That means employment, and that means obeying the laws, being a good citizen, coming legally, all of that. And my mother giving up her German citizenship in 1965 in El Paso, becoming a citizen of the United States after she studied real hard and learned the language. Um, you know, so there is a right way to do things to make a bright future. And this wasn't the right way, this mass immigration. It was malice. There was absolutely a malice intent for our country. So let me read some of these. But we have been, and of course, Richard's being no longer here is part of that. It's connected to that because, and you saw this Virginian politician wanting violence against his opponent. Um, they weren't satisfied to just keep Richard quiet. They had to take his life. So this is violence. Violence because of what this open society, open border policies, what it was doing. It was really dividing us, you know. Um, People have this misunderstanding that a fence, a good neighborly fence, um, divides the neighbors, but it doesn't. It unites the neighbors because there is a lawful respect for each other's property. And so to have an open society is to bring forth chaos and division. Um, it just, it has this opposite effect of the name of it. An open society really closes everything down because of the chaos and the lawlessness. Um, so it's not a good idea at all. Borders. I remember Europe when it had all the borders. It was much more unified than the EU is. And the EU with these open borders is much more divided than what it used to be. So, good borders bring unity because it brings respect for each other's property. So, yeah, my opinion again or observation. Okay, so Laura, thank you so much. I want to read everybody's posts here. If they're, I really hope martial law goes in effect soon because these corrupt people. Do you think he's going to bring martial law? I don't think he's going to bring. I don't think President Trump is so keen on martial law. He's had other chances to declare martial law, and he hasn't. I think he is being very patient. He could have done so many things during this government closure, and he hasn't. He's been very, very patient, and he's been very, very patient with the whole Ukraine-Russian war. He's been very patient with the Israeli-Palestinian war. Um, you know, uh, I think he's going to try different ways instead of just you can't have it in your cities though, Chicago and Portland. They're out of control, y'all. My dad was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. I went to go visit my grandparents all the time there. My grandfather had a bullet come through his house, miss him. It was lodged in the wall. Um, this was a beautiful like gingerbread kind of neighborhood. Those are the kind of houses that were there. They were just these old, beautiful homes. And I remember prostitutes standing, looking out the window, and prostitutes were out in the um, on his street. It was Graham Street. You can look that up. He lived on my grandparents lived on Graham, and it used to be this beautiful just rose-filled neighborhood, all different types of people, different races of people, and a beautiful street. But the crime gradually, Portland just turned crime-ridden. It was just the policies were so bad, and now you see what's happening. They're just so out of control, and we still have friends, believe it or not, that left Portland recently because of it's out of control. And so Chicago is, the same, just totally out of control. And yeah, so there has to be something done. We can't allow these mayors and governors that are absolutely traitors. They're absolutely traitors. And you see what's going on there. Um, it has to be, there's people that live there. There are Americans that live there. And there seems to be what Representative Harrison has said in Texas, that there has been a lot of voter fraud because um, Texas is very, very red, yet its representation is very blue. It's just doesn't represent what the people want at all. And, and I agree with him there. So that means that the elections were tampered with, right? Um, yeah. So, and we know that there's a lot of deception, right? There's a lot of people that say, "Oh yeah, I'm a Republican," and then they're not. They're um, totally just running. Um, with a lie, stolen valor in the political sense. I don't think that's quite right, but just the deception of it all. Okay, Laura, as a daughter of a polygamist, I know what I am telling you. They are ruthless. They are so ruthless, and I think polygamy is just a very slippery slope. I think there's no loyalty there. There's no bonding in the family. I just don't see how that could be. Oh, just look at, but you would know better than me. You would know better than me. I don't know. Just look at Jeff Warren, the polygamist from Utah. It's the Mexican mafia. All Mexican cartels come together. Mexico feels very threatened. Remember, it's a narco state. All cartels come together. Um, yeah, but the Sinaloa cartel right now it's very, very divided because El Mayo was betrayed. And his faction is fighting against the Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see. Your son is with us in the heavenly realm. Yes, absolutely. And it was like that last night. He was just so real. Like I said, we were just talking, and I even petted his face, and then we were playing cards together. And yeah, so Richard is haunting these criminals. He wanted to be CID. He wanted to be a law enforcer. And so he is absolutely haunting these people that did this to him. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind about that. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming on so late again. And it's just been with all of what's going on, just so much. And we will keep you updated as the news comes in. But we are over the target. We are absolutely over the target. So thank you, and God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.